Do you envisage Rashford playing for Manchester United this season? Or do you think it'll be difficult for him?
I think it'll be very difficult for him to walk back into that building and win those fans back over. From what I can gather, the fans aren't massively keen on him coming back in.
Marcus Rashford did everything football tells a young player to do, and somehow still ended up unwanted.
I don't blame Rashford, but no one wants him. United have handled this really badly, but it is like that party where someone turns up who no one really wants there and they don't want to be there, and then we're going to have to all just be a bit fake, aren't we?
He came through Manchester United's academy, scored 4 goals in his first 2 senior matches.
Cross towards the far post, kept in, steered back towards Rashford! It's a dream debut for Marcus Rashford.
Became an England international at 18. Survived serious back and shoulder injuries. Then produced a 30-goal season that earned him one of the biggest contracts at the club. That should have secured his future. Instead, it became the beginning of the problem.
He's got his new deal, and he's basically chucked it. He's switched off. You only have to watch his performances as a general rule of thumb. Lack of work rate, lack of end product, lack of interest.
His goals disappeared. His pressing was questioned. Birthday parties, the Belfast incident, and public rows over training standards turned every poor performance into a debate about his attitude. Ruben Amorim dropped him. Rashford admitted he wanted a new challenge, and suddenly the academy hero was being treated like baggage. United could not move. Then came the twist. Aston Villa revived him. Barcelona took him, watched him score 14 goals, produce double-digit assists, win La Liga, and deliver against Real Madrid, and still send him back. So, how can a player prove he is still good enough for Barcelona, yet remain too risky for almost everyone else? Because this is no longer just about football. It is about wages, trust, tactical fit, reputation, and how one spectacular season may have made Marcus Rashford almost impossible to save. This is why one of Manchester United's greatest academy stories became football's strangest transfer problem. Marcus Rashford became a Manchester United star before anyone had properly worked out what kind of forward he actually was. That contradiction has followed him ever since. Before Old Trafford knew his name, Rashford had already played as a goalkeeper, spent time in midfield, and joined United's academy at 7. His coaches saw the speed and athleticism immediately, but he was never shaped into a classic number 9 who would bully center backs, hold the ball up, and spend 90 minutes wrestling inside the box. His music game was built on movement. Face forward, attack space, arrive quickly, and finish before defenders can reset. Then came 25th of February, 2016. United were preparing to face Midtjylland in the Europa League with an injury list long enough to frighten the medical department. Rashford was only in the squad because Louis van Gaal had run out of senior options. Even then, he was not meant to start. Anthony Martial was selected through the middle, injured himself in the warm-up, and suddenly an 18-year-old with no first-team appearances was leading Manchester United. Rashford scored twice. Neither goal came from overpowering defenders. He found space inside the box, arrived at the right moment, and finished quickly. United won 5-1, overturned the first leg deficit, and Rashford became the club's youngest scorer in European competition at the time. 3 days later, he started against Arsenal. 2 goals in 3 first-half minutes, then an assist for Herrera. United won 3-2. Again, the details mattered. His first came from sharp movement after Arsenal failed to clear. His second was a clever header, more anticipation than physical dominance. For the assist, he waited as Arsenal retreated, spotted Herrera's run, and released the ball at exactly the right moment. Arsenal gave United space. Rashford attacked it, and suddenly Premier League defenders were learning what academy teams already knew. Letting him face goal was a bad idea. The same pattern appeared against Manchester City on March 20th, 2016. Rashford took Juan Mata's pass, pushed the ball beyond Demitis, and accelerated into the box before finishing past Joe Hart. At 18 years and 142 days, he became the youngest scorer in a Premier League Manchester derby at the time. In less than a month, He had scored on his European debut, Premier League debut, and first Manchester Derby appearance. Subtle introductions were clearly not his thing. He ended the season with 8 goals in 18 appearances and an FA Cup winners' medal. For months after entering United's first team, he was in England's Euro 2016 squad. Before the tournament, he scored 132 seconds on his international debut against Australia, becoming England's youngest male debut goalscorer at 18 years and 209 days. The rise was incredible. It also created a problem. Most young players are allowed to develop quietly. They try different positions, have poor games, and slowly discover what they are. Rashford did all of music that under spotlight. His first appearances were so spectacular that people immediately treated him as United's next great attacker. From then on, every dip looked like something had gone badly wrong. The bigger issue was that Rashford still had no settled role. Van Gaal used him centrally because United needed a striker. Jose Mourinho moved him across both wings through the middle and regularly used him against tired defenses. Rashford made 53 appearances in 2016-2017, although the total minutes equated to roughly 34 full matches. Zlatan Ibrahimovic owned the central role that season, and Romelu Lukaku later became United's first-choice striker. Rashford played plenty, but he developed around established center forwards rather than in one fixed position. That versatility kept him involved. It also blurred his identity. He could start from the left, fill in centrally, or occasionally play from the right, but his best work rarely changed. Move inside from the left, run beyond the defense, and receive with open grass ahead. He was much less comfortable as a fixed target man. Playing with the center back pressed into his back removed the acceleration that made him dangerous against deep blocks. He could also struggle when asked to create through tight combinations from standing start. Ole understood his profile better than most. He gave Rashford freedom from the left and allowed him to attack central spaces during transitions. Between late 2019 and January 2020, Rashford scored 16 goals in 20 matches. Then he suffered a double stress fracture in his back. That matters because Rashford's game depends on repeated sprints, sharp changes of direction, and explosive shooting. He later played through shoulder and foot problems before undergoing shoulder surgery after Euro 2020. At first, playing through pain was praised as commitment. When his form declined in 2021-22, that physical cost was largely forgotten. By then, Solskjaer had gone. Ralph Rangnick was in temporary charge, and United's attack had lost its structure. Rashford looked short of confidence and unsure of his role. He could still attack space, but United were creating less of it, and he had never fully developed another way to control games when those openings disappeared. Then Erik ten Hag arrived, and for one season seemed to find the answer. Rashford scored against Liverpool and twice against Arsenal early in 2022. He reached 100 United goals against West Ham, and after the World Cup scored in 9 of 10 consecutive matches. He struck against Barcelona at Camp Nou, helped United win the League Cup, and finished with 30 goals in 56 appearances. In the Premier League, he scored 17 goals and provided 5 assists in 35 games. He became the first United player since Robin van Persie in 2001-2013 to reach 30 goals in a season. Ten Hag had not turned him into a complete striker. He had restored the conditions that suited him. United attacked directly, created transition opportunities, and allowed Rashford to start left before moving closer to goal. His shot volume climbed to around 3.4 attempts per 90 minutes, the highest rate of his Premier League career. He was finishing attacks instead of being asked to build all of them. The season was brilliant. It was also heavily dependent on confidence, physical sharpness, and structure. United responded with a contract running until 2028 and placed him among the club's highest earners. At the time, it made sense. Letting a 30-goal graduate drift toward the end of his contract would have looked ridiculous, but United were also paying as though that version of Rashford had become permanent. That was the gamble. He'd already proved he belonged at Manchester United. Ten Hag had finally shown where he was most dangerous. But the club had committed superstar money to a forward whose output still depended on very specific conditions. When those conditions disappeared, The contract did not. That is where Rashford's greatest season stopped being only a triumph and started becoming a trap. Rashford's drop after that 30-goal season felt so sharp that people assumed something had changed in him. But the football changed first. In 2023-24, his Premier League shots fell from 3.4 to 2.5 per 90, while his non-penalty expected goals dropped from 0.53 to 0.20. He was receiving the ball deeper, carrying it farther, and facing organized defenders instead of attacking open space. Haaland became United's central reference. Luke Shaw's injuries removed Rashford's natural overlap, and United's build-up became painfully disconnected. Still, tactics did not excuse everything. His pressing, recovery runs, and decision-making were too inconsistent. Then came the birthday celebration after the Derby defeat and the Belfast incident before the Newport match. From that point, every poor performance became a debate about whether he cared. By May 2024, Gareth Southgate left him out of England's Euro squad because other wide players had simply produced better seasons. Omission briefly offered hope. Rashford scored against Ipswich and twice against Everton, then disappeared from the Manchester Derby squad. Omission kept pointing to training and daily standards. Once Rashford said he was ready for a new challenge, the split was obvious. United had failed him tactically at times, but Rashford had also stopped giving managers enough reasons to keep trusting him. Now, the thing is, Rashford's loans proved Manchester United were part of the problem, just not all of it. At Aston Villa, Unai Emery gave him structure, clearer passing lanes, runners around him, and fewer situations where he had to rescue an attack on his own. Rashford scored twice against Preston, then opened his league account against Brighton from Morgan Rogers' through ball. He finished with 4 goals and 6 assists in 17 appearances before a hamstring injury ended his season. Useful, encouraging, but not enough for Villa to trigger the reported £40 million option. Barcelona was different. Rashford scored twice on his Champions League debut against Newcastle, repeated the trick against Olympia, and ended the season with 14 goals and 14 assists in 49 appearances. His free kick against Real Madrid helped seal La Liga. Barcelona suited him. He received the ball closer to goal, attacked space instead of traffic, and offered direct running in a team that could occasionally pass the ball to sleep. That proved he was not finished or tactically useless. Yet Barcelona still declined the £30 million option, and that is the whole story. Rashford earns roughly £300,000 to £325,000 a week and turns 29 in October 2026. Clubs may want the player. What they do not want is the total package. Huge wages, limited resale value, tactical conditions, and constant scrutiny. Marcus Rashford left Manchester United needing more than game time. He needed to prove the player was still in there. He's contracted to United until 2028. Even with a 25 to 30 million fee, 3 years at the top, and would cost more than 50 million in wages before bonuses, agent fees, or signing costs. Tactically, he remains most dangerous when facing forward, attacking space, and arriving to finish. Possession-heavy clubs may want more pressing and tighter combination play. Transition teams may suit him better, but many can't afford him. As of August 2nd, 2026, Rashford is expected to begin 2026-27 back at Manchester United under Michael Carrick, although a transfer remains possible. So no, it's not that nobody wants Marcus Rashford. Clubs still want the pace, goals, and experience. What they hesitate over is everything attached to them. Villa and Barcelona prove the footballer still exists. Neither prove the full investment was worth inheriting. Marcus Rashford's career has been defined by 3 stages. At 18, he was valued for his potential. At 25, he was rewarded for his production. At 28, he is judged by his cost, tactical fit, and perceived risk. His talent has never been the biggest question. The real question is whether one club believes that talent is still worth everything music that comes with it. And until someone answers yes, Marcus Rashford will remain one of football's most fascinating transfer stories.